There's nothing pretty about basics. There's no flash, no spectacular spinning no mind-blowing finishes. Well, actually, there is something beautiful about basics and fundamentals. They can make you champion of the world. At UFC 258, Kamaru Usman knocked Gilbert Burns down 3 times and ultimately finished him on the ground. How amazing was it to see this man feed his family with the use of such a simple recipe. The Nigerian nightmare seems to have achieved mastery in simplicity, but just to make sure, let's see. The fight starts. Right away, Gilbert opens up with a huge right, forcing Usman to back up towards the cage. We rarely ever see Kamaru getting pressured, and it is already an exciting fight just because of that. Durinho's footwork is extremely fast in the first minute. The number of little steps he makes is quite impressive for a welterweight. Plus, his head is all over the place, moving along the multiple level changes, attacks, and feints. Looking really comfortable, Burns sees Usman taking a step in that direction, and so he makes it look like he's gonna put his foot down right then and there, but instead, he pushes forward with his right leg to cover as much distance as he can with surprising speed. From Usman's point of view, Burns is closing in fast. He tries to intercept him with a jab, but Gilbert's head is already out of the way. The overhand sneaks in and destroys Kamaru's temple, sending him down to his knees. Burns lands a few glancing shots on his wobbled opponent, but Usman stays in it. Gilbert smells the finish, he smells the shiny belt, he sees Usman switch to southpaw, exposing himself to the power kick. And Durinho obliges, he sets up his attack beautifully behind the punch combo, and it lands. However, Usman makes Burns lose his balance, and all of a sudden the Brazilian is on his back, where he'll stay for about 2 minutes. During that time, the Nigerian kicks his legs while stalling, until Burns finally gets back to his feet, and now Usman is the one putting on the pressure. He wants to close the distance, but whoa. Gilbert meets him with a beautifully timed knee up the middle as Usman's dipping his head down. A few seconds later, the first real problems for Burns start to surface. Indeed, affected by many leg kicks, his footwork is already less explosive than before, and because of that, Usman's jab finds its home more and more. By slowing Burns down, Kamaru makes him more stationary, which makes his timing more obvious and easier to disrupt. But Gilbert's still winning this round. Here, he lands another right hand over the top of Usman's jab and goes for another knee up the middle. This is where we witness the champion's insane ability to adapt. He's taken Gilbert's best shots, but every time he sees a certain weapon more than once, he anticipates it better the second time around. He doesn't get caught with the same power again and again. Quite the opposite, and that's a quality not a lot of fighters possess. Second round. Again, Burns puts on the pressure right off the bat, but this time, Usman doesn't let him. Because their respective footworks are now comparable, the reach difference comes into play. If both fighters throw jabs at the same time, you can bet your sweet ass Usman's gonna be the one landing, and because the jab is so freaking effective, Burns starts biting on Usman's feints. He becomes extremely aware of all the jab possibilities. Look, Usman throws a jab feint, Burns shows a significant reaction and tries to counter with the lead hand. At that specific moment, Usman makes a very important read, and he'll keep it in mind. Throughout the fight, whenever there was a clash between both men, let's say Burns was throwing a leg kick or an uppercut or something, the jab from Usman was almost always landing first. But why was that jab so effective at winning the exchanges? Well, it is the fastest attack. It is also the straightest attack. And finally, it is generally the longest attack because of the reach difference. All of that explains why the jabs were so problematic for Burns and why he was looking to counter them every chance he had. Look here, Usman is gonna throw 2 jab feints in quick succession. For the first one, Burns reacts heavily while staying passive. But at the second one, Gilbert reacts like Usman is expecting him to. It isn't the first time Burns gives him that view. Usman's been waiting, he's ready, his body pulls back, feet steady, the counter is there, Gilbert's not prepared. Boom. The big right hand lands square, knockdown, champ's not willing to share his crown. Burns' footwork is just not the same anymore. He can't get out of the way of that jab in time, and to make matters worse, Usman is constantly switching stances to throw his lead hand from both sides. He does it so sneakily too, Burns just can't adapt to that. And still, he tries to exchange. He can't let Usman do what he wants, so he fires a leg kick. But just like every exchange, Kamaru lands in first place, using every inch of his range to touch Gilbert's face. Another knockdown for Usman in the second engagement, but Burns survives. For now. Third round. Now, Usman's in full control. He doesn't react to Gilbert's feint at all. Leg kick from Burns. He easily escapes it and even takes advantage of the situation by switching southpaw undetected. The basics from the Nigerian Nightmare are top tier, but it's the way he mixes them all together in the flow that makes him a real bad dream. All of a sudden he's in southpaw, power hands in front, and what follows is one of the greatest jabs I've ever seen. As soon as Usman sees Burns looking to exchange, he fires. Just like a piston, his fist blasts right out the blocks without a tell. His lightning fast attack is perfectly placed and rings Burns' bell. The way Usman stalks him to the ground is spine-chilling. It gives vibes of a madman killing, his follow-up shots as brutal as can be. The Dark Nightmare is getting savage and mean. Only way to stop this ongoing damage. Herb Dean. If you like this video, you know what to do. Alright guys, see ya.